depressing putting that on after yesterday.
It felt right though.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Matt.
Welcome back. I'm Jimmy.
We are two average guys. Cheers. Hopefully, we tend to get more people watching the show when we suck, rather than when we do well.
That's very true.
We lose, we get more people watching, more people commenting. So we're trying, Jamie. We will do our best to keep it positive.
I don't know how.
We will do our best. So let's start off with positives. You know, let's start off on a positive. Maybe we start off. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
The first drive of the game, I was like, we are good again. Like, Casey Thompson looked so good. You know, we had receivers that were, one drop, but we looked like a college football team that was like, you know, a top 25 college football team.
We looked like we knew what we were doing.
And from there, it just went south.
Well, not even. It wasn't even really the first half. The first half, really, the entire game, our offense wasn't terrible.
Really weren't.
The problem in the second half is they made some adjustments on defense, and we made zero adjustments on offense. So we stopped moving the ball. I think at one point, our previous 4 possessions was 3 punts and a turnover. I mean, that's the last 4 years. We've seen that story before.
Right. And honestly, our defense kind of sucked.
Oh, they were awful.
I mean, I was, you know, with how good the defense was last year and how many returning pieces we had, and I'm not harping on the guys, but it was just like you hear so many good things and you just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's hard. You know, like I've thought so many things in my head that I want to say, and I just don't even know what to say.
Yeah. Let's start with offense. So really, Casey Thompson started pretty well. Throwing the ball well. He was throwing downfield.
Yeah.
He had hitting the targets.
And it does show promise going forward. I mean, I think we'll be fine. We were able to. I mean, obviously we're gonna throw the ball.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. We're gonna throw the ball, and it was throwing the ball like with a purpose, and it wasn't. You weren't nervous when he was back there throwing the ball.
No.
So I was very positive in that aspect. But,
and offensive line pass protection was good almost the entire game.
For the most part,
they
got a couple sacks, but I mean that's gonna happen. I mean, there was a couple.
Did they get 2? I think they only got 1.
I think they got 1 or 2.
The backside.
But even like, it was funny because the first time that things kind of broke down, you didn't just see a quarterback scrambling, trying to run the ball like Martinez has for 4 years.
Yep.
He stayed poised, and he worked around a little bit. He spun around, and he threw like a 40-yard pass, and it was like, oh my God, this is what we've been missing for years. Like, it was awesome.
But he took hits. He
took a few hits. Yep. He took a few hits. And you know what? He even did tuck it and run for a touchdown. The one drive.
Short run, yeah.
So, I mean, offensively, I think we were better than I was expecting. Like, that is not what I'm worried about.
In the first half.
Right, in the first half.
Second half was awful. I had to laugh at Fitzgerald when they did the presser before the game. You know, they talked about, what are you going to do against, you have new coaches on the other sideline, a lot of new guys, a lot of transfers. How do you prepare? So he's talking about watching different film of different players, obviously not playing together. He said, so it's difficult. He goes, I imagine, he even said, they're more talented than us. Talent-wise,
we always are.
They have more talent than us, and we're going to have to stick to our fundamentals, which is Northwestern. That's
Fitzgerald's team. Northwestern 100% football.
But then he said that we're going to have to make adjustments after the first half, and I'm thinking, man, this guy's got no confidence that his team's going to be leading at halftime, and I'm thinking there is no way. Like, we should be talent-wise, we should be ahead of the game.
We beat them 56-7 last season when we had like our worst season of all time, and we beat them by 49 points.
Yeah. And game of adjustments. Guess what? They did have to make adjustments in the second half on defense. Offense, they kept kind of just pounding away, doing what they were doing. And we didn't make any adjustments, which, again, Same story, new football season, same story though. We never make adjustments at halftime. Our defense played zone the entire game.
Yes.
And we got burned the entire game. And that is frustrating from a coach who did so well last year to now his defense with, they weren't running towards Garrett Nelson. They weren't running towards Luke Reimer.
Right.
They were running towards guys that they don't know much about, trying to beat us, and
you know,
they did.
Oshon Mathis had a lot of tackles. Nick Henrich, who I love, don't get me wrong, I love the kid. He had a few big-time missed tackles. Like, they're showing highlights of him arm tackling, missing tackles.
The entire defense was.
The secondary was supposed to be our strength. Struggled heavily.
They had some really good defensive plays, but it was just so inconsistent on the defensive side of the ball. When again, we didn't know what really to expect on offense. Again, we didn't know what to expect. But
42 couldn't read the offense.
Yes,
That is Nick Henrich.
There you go.
Yeah. But great, bro.
So, but on defense, we're like, all right, we got a lot of guys coming back. We got a lot of upside. We got Tommy Hill coming. We had a transfer on the defensive line. I don't know what our defensive line was doing. My goodness, guys. I know that they have...
Feast, whatever his name is.
Feist. He was a beast.
He was a beast. Like, right off the bat, I was like, oh, he got a black shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of know him.
Pretty sure he's a walk-on.
He was awesome early on. You know, Ty Robinson, obviously, he's going to be awesome. But...
they're not going to him, though.
Right. And... man, I have so many thoughts that I can't put into words.
It's same thing. Again, game-winning drive. We throw an interception.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm sitting there like, all right, we have a game-winning drive. We are going to go down, change the story of Nebraska football. We're going to win a one-possession game and score a touchdown. And first play off the hands of Wyatt Lever and intercepted. And yeah, Casey threw a friggin' bullet. But we had a lot of passes hit the hands that weren't caught that probably should have. His interception across the middle.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if I can't remember if that was Lever or Falk across the middle, but he had his hands here. The ball was here. He didn't he didn't move his hands to catch the ball, and therefore it went next to his hands and was caught behind him. I mean, and that wasn't Casey's fault. That was.
And I know I said, you know, that first drive, we perfect, but we had a drop, and you had texted me like, yeah, it was behind him. Yeah, I mean, it was a little behind him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not gonna be perfect every time.
No.
And was Trey Palmer great? Yes, he absolutely was. He was everything as advertised. He was great.
But we also have Washington, Alante Brown. We have guys that can make plays, and I felt like we used them. I feel like a big turn in the game for us offensively was also Vokalek going down.
It was.
I think that was big because number 46 came in, and he immediately had a drop pass. He tipped one off his hands too, and I feel like that was a big hurdle that we had to get over because we were using Vokalek quite a bit in that game.
You know, you can say on the surface that it's a big loss losing Vokalek, but he got voted a captain. I mean, you know, the team morale when somebody goes down like that, you know, that has to be, you know, reiterated that he's someone that everybody cares about, and losing someone like that, it can change kind of the morale of the team. So that was huge. It was huge.
Yeah. So a couple comments here. So Dalton says, you know, why do we give black shirts out before the game? A lot of people are conflicted on this. Do you give them out before the season, after the season, middle of the season? And I can't remember. I think we talked to Carricker about this once, and so I mentioned maybe he's going to be on tonight, redoing his Carricker Live.
Right,
so hop on there, ask him. But I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that was not a before the season deal.
It seems like a coach to coach thing. You know, different coaches do different things. I know that they were talking the other day about how they used to give them out at the end of the season, and that threw people for a loop.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because, you know, obviously it's a big honor.
Well, you got to earn it, and we got guys that are getting it before the season.
And what's funny is, you know, a couple guys that I thought would be black shirts weren't. You know, so
we all know you don't earn anything in training camp. You earn respect, you might get that, but you don't win medals, you don't win championships in training camp. You have to produce on the field. And so again, we drank the Kool-Aid hard again, training camp, everything looks like it's going well. Hearing a lot of good things out of the new guys, and then we get to the field and it just doesn't happen. It doesn't produce again, and I think that's why Husker fans are so frustrated. Now, again, we get another question from Donnie here: how many losses until we say goodbye to Coach? I think here's what's going to help him continue the entire season. I got a couple different feelings. Feeling number one, he's got to beat Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean,
we have to have a big win. Oklahoma or Michigan. We have to win one of those two games.
I texted a few people yesterday before the game started, and I was like, "What's your prediction for your record? Or what do you think the record is going to be this year?"
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, "Well, we're 3-0 going into Oklahoma. That's going to be the biggest one. If we win that one, then things are moving positive. If we lose that one, then we'll see." But everyone thought we'd win this game yesterday, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't know now. Like my prediction was 7-5. Now
10-2.
We're looking at 6-6 at best, if you ask me. So
I think for Frost again, we have to next two games. We can't give up any points. We can't.
North Dakota and Georgia Southern, we have to win those games by 40+ points.
We should blank both of them. And then Oklahoma, again, a lot of people might not see us beating them. No one saw us beating them last year. I think we have a shot because there's a lot of unknowns there too. And their entire team, new coaching staff coming in. We know what that does to a team. Sometimes there's a fall off, sometimes they're not. So we'll see. I'm not optimistic right now at all, Donnie. Not even close. But I'm saying if we beat Oklahoma, it gives him a chance. I also think it might have been Dan. Dan's talking here about Frost proving he can't keep his hands off the offense. Calling that onside kick, that was him. That wasn't our special teams coach. So again, why is our head coach making calls on the offensive side and special teams when we have coaches for that?
What's funny is our special teams are pretty freaking good for a change. We missed a field goal attempt, but it was a long field goal attempt. Made all of our extra points. He averaged 48 yards a punt.
Our punting was good.
We've had 7-yard punts in the past. Every punt was decent.
Yeah.
Why are we winning the game when we haven't won very many games and we're gonna try an onside kick? It just did not make any sense.
Yeah. We'll get to the onside kick. Defense, yes, defense is horrible. Yeah, John. I mean, they could hit a wide receiver downfield if they wanted to, but that's because the run game was so effective. So we saw miscommunication on the long touchdown pass that they had. That was just miscommunication. Our safety got brought up way too far,
and
he didn't pull back.
I thought Buford played a really, really solid game. He got himself a black shirt. He came into the program all in.
Also caused a fumble.
He was awesome. The fact that he made it onto the field as early as he did, I thought was pretty incredible, and he was great. But yeah, there was a miscommunication on that. And that's what Northwestern does. They are going to hurt you in those types of spots. They are smart, and they're going to pound you, and they're going to throw the ball a little bit, and they're going to hurt you. They're going to outsmart you, I guess. And that's what it was.
The worst part about the defense to me, more than anything else, besides the tackling, besides the blown coverage, besides that, we knew they were going to keep running the ball to run the clock down, and we still could not stop them.
Right. And we got so frustrated.
We didn't plug the holes. You would see on the replays how wide those holes were, and we'd have our linebackers shifting away from the hole. It's like, no, the gap is there. They're going to run through the gap. They're not doing what we do and run straight into our guys because we can't open holes on the offensive line. That's what we did all freaking game. Our guys on defense were not filling the gaps like you're supposed to do. As a linebacker, you fill those gaps because that running back's coming through it. And it's just, that was frustrating. And you could see that was happening on every run. You knew it's coming, and we couldn't stop it. And it was, again.
It was 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a pop. And it's like, come on, man.
Yep.
And when we had the ball, when we're running the ball, I mean, it's hard to say because we had, like I said, we had a receiver that went for 120. We had a running back that went 19 carries for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. That, on paper, looks like we should have won that game.
Yeah. And our quarterback threw for 355 yards.
Yes.
But, again, we had defense couldn't tackle. We had an offense who couldn't open up a hole if they...
Well,
I don't even know what kind of analogy to use.
You say that 100, I say 100 yards for a running back, but, he want to say he had like as long as like 48. So I mean that's
Yeah.
half the yards right there. But Gabe Irvin not playing, not getting any carries. Ramir Johnson didn't get any carries.
Ramir never stepped on the field. Allen had 1 carry, and he looked really good and fast. 1 carry.
I actually want to say he had like 7 carries, but
Allen really? Maybe I should notice because he went straight into the line.
But Yant had like 3 carries, 5 yards.
Yeah.
And Anthony Grant, like he's good, but he had 19 carries for 100 yards when 1 carry was for 50 yards. Like we didn't open up holes for him. It's not his fault. And he had 2 touchdowns, but it's. I said to you, I hope this season we have a run game because I feel like we're going to pass the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to have a solid run game so that pass game opens up. And it was like we were just passing and just running the ball for a yard or 2.
Manila.
Yet again.
Jake mentions here that we again outcoached again and we refuse to adjust. Again, it's been the same story for 4 years. We don't
100% getting out of a coach.
We don't make
especially when you play Pat Fitzgerald. I mean, the only thing he can do is coach a solid game to try to get a win, and that's what he did.
Sorry, Don, we'll get to your comment here about the onside kick. We'll get to the onside kick. Alex mentions don't think it's time to panic. Week 0, Northwestern's always tough, well coached. You're not wrong. Typical Power 5 team. Trust he's going to fill the holes we need.
But we beat them 56-7 last year when we had like our worst season ever. So it's very hard to see where we can go from here.
It's frustrating. And I think, again, yes, week 0, we have a lot to make adjustments on. I think the worst part about it is we played a Big Ten opponent. We played Northwestern, who we have to beat. We have to beat them to win the Big Ten.
To win our division.
So that's what's more frustrating is we didn't do that.
And it was just the same story last year when we're like, oh, we're going to play Illinois. Obviously, we're going to beat them. And we didn't. Like, we make so many mistakes to lose the game, and it's like, can we just maybe play like Idaho State or something the first game so that we can just get our feet wet?
It was pretty penalty-free football for the most part on both sides of the ball. I mean, Northwestern you kind of expected, but Nebraska, holy cow, we get penalties galore.
We did.
I think we probably won the penalty margin in
well,
that
we
game.
Definitely did, and I want to say the first big, major penalty was a late hit out of bounds, and I was like, they better call that because they call that on us all the time, and they did, and that led to a scoring drive for us. But
I do think officials did a pretty good job in that game. What I really liked is on the defensive side of the ball, and I guess offense, I did see a lot of hand checking and hands on the bodies when passes were in the air. And they weren't calling it. I thought it was great. I thought they officiated the game very well. I've never had good things to say about the officials.
The only thing I will say is we were obviously knee down. Like, you could see on the replay, knee down on that fumble. Like, that was going to be another scoring drive. Like, we should have been up 21-10, but we had knee down that they didn't call, and they called it a fumble. I mean,
the problem is they never should call it a fumble on the field. They call it a fumble on the field because the guy held the football in the air.
That's the problem. When they call it on the field, it's so hard to overturn it, especially when they have like 7 different cameras and you just can't see it.
Yeah.
I thought you could see it on one of the camera angles, but it's not definitive, and that's why it didn't get overturned. But that was the only frustrating thing I would say with the officials. Normally, we're kind of pretty critical of the officials because they call out.
Well, again, that's only part of the officials. Once they go to the video, it's not them making the call.
And it's not. You're right.
So I get it, but yeah, I mean that. Again, he's got to protect the ball better though. Garcia Castaneda was great.
He was great. He had 120 yards.
That first touchdown pass. Was a hell of a great catch.
Yeah, like I said, that first drive was insane, dude. Yeah. It was so insane. Casey Thompson looked like he was gonna win the freaking Heisman, and we got guys What's funny was we were watching with some friends and. They're like, I don't know who these people are. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. And they were like, maybe we'll be good because we got all these transfers. And I was like, yes, we look very, very good.
Yeah. Ned says beyond everything, defense is truly concerning. Absolutely. I've hit on that a couple times here, and we'll keep hammering on them until they get better. Wouldn't be surprised if North Dakota keeps it close. If North Dakota keeps it close next week, Donnie might be right.
To be fair, North Dakota played North Dakota State within a score last year. So North Dakota State's usually typically pretty good. We better show up to play, especially traveling back from Ireland and kind of being down. My big thing that I was nervous about was that we would beat Northwestern pretty handily, I guess. And then they have the long trip back, and they're like, "Oh shoot, we're really good." And then they kind of lull into the game into North Dakota. Now I think they better come to play, and I sure hope they do.
If Donnie might be right. If it's a close game or we barely beat North Dakota, or for God's sakes we lose to North Dakota, you might see Scott Frost be handed his papers and get walking right away. If we lose 2 games, I mean, we've lost to Troy. We've lost to teams in the beginning of the season 100%. That we should not lose to. And again, the last 4 years, it's the same story. We're seeing the same thing over again. So Georgia Southern, North Dakota, I'm not overlooking either of those 2 teams. We need to blank them to help Frost if he wants to stay, but I don't have that confidence right now.
Blanking anyone's hard. I mean, they can literally get in the field goal range and kick a field goal. It's not that. We need to run away and beat these teams handily. Like, run them off the field.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're in trouble.
Yeah, and Ross mentions, again, we've talked a lot about the defense, but he mentions they look slow and kind of clunky.
That's exactly what we text each other yesterday. I'm like, why do we look so slow on defense? Especially with Garrett Nelson, with Caleb Tanner, with Luke Reimer, Nick Henrich, Quentin Newsom. Like, we looked so slow for guys that didn't last year.
Against a team who's not fast. So the fact that we look slow against Northwestern, against a very Manila offense, that's
traveling overseas, I guess, maybe makes a bit of a difference. I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that, but
nope,
it looks slow.
Let's see. Can't get off block. Oh my god, dude. Jake, so I feel like Nelson. If you go back and watch that game, or watch even just film on Garrett Nelson, I feel like he got held a lot, but the problem...
I did say that one time. I said, wow, Garrett was really getting held in the last play.
Problem with our defensive line, it has been, again, for quite some time, it was the same thing with Riley, is they do not know how to get off blocks. They do not know how to sell a hold either when they're actually getting held. They don't know how to chop the arm. They go straight up into the pads, or they try to bull rush and go straight up in the pads. Well, then they're screwed because that guy's got them under the pads. You're not going to get a holding call.
Right.
So we have to figure out more creative ways to get to the quarterback, because getting 0 pressure on the quarterback, 0 sacks, 0 knockdowns, you're not going to win games. You can't win games that way.
When you play a team, especially like Northwestern, but when you don't have a quarterback hurry, quarterback hit, a sack, you're not going to probably win that ball game.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get pressure on the quarterback. And, does Northwestern find creative ways to avoid that? Yeah, I mean, they do. And we probably hardly ever get sacks against them. They, like you said, they're kind of vanilla. They run the ball, they spin it out, in the flat, whatever. But you have to be able to get pressure if you want to be able to win a football game.
Yep. Comment on the black shirts. Get rid of them, take them away. I don't disagree. I think they did not earn them in the first game. Again, they should have handed. I'm in the agreement that you shouldn't hand them out before the season starts.
They should have handed them out after the first game.
Maybe not even that. I mean, 1 game and then you got 2, teams that you should step on. If you don't play well through those first 3 games, then really after those 3 games maybe. But again, maybe
Oklahoma comes into town and slaps you in the face
midway through the season. So I mean, again, I think there's a lot of things you can talk about on the defense. There's a lot of reminders. About Riley. Someone mentioned.
I'm with you. For as big as Yant is, he seems awfully easy to take down. I mean, like I said, he had 3 carries for 5 yards. I thought we'd see him a bit more.
Yeah. So what I don't understand is we not understand. We brought in kind of a 3-back set almost, and when we were on the goal line, and Yant didn't get in. That says a lot about our offensive line.
100%.
So much. I'm like, oh, this
well,
is
and
easy
we
score.
ran the ball 3 times, and then they got a flag, and that was the only reason that we scored a touchdown. And when Casey Thompson kept that ball and scored the touchdown, he barely broke the play.
Oh, barely.
Barely. I'm not even sure he did.
There was nothing to overturn it, is the problem.
Right.
But I don't know if he did.
In years past, we give that ball, and on first and goal at the 1 and score.
Yep.
And we just, like, for years, we have not gotten back to that point.
I've said it for years, Jimmy, can we put the damn quarterback under center? When we have 1 yard to go, put the quarterback under center and push. All you got is Tom Brady does
That's what Northwestern did on their fourth and half a yard.
It's funny.
To get a first down.
There's only one pro quarterback who does it all the time. Is Tom Brady. No other pro quarterback does it either. I'm like, that's the easiest way to get 1 yard. Just push under the center. That guy's a big dude. Line up under center. If you see, then you're audible if someone's there. But push. But we got no push from our line. It is so frustrating to see how bad our line is yet again this year in the run game. And we don't go lateral. Start running left to right. The Logan Smothers comes into the game. He has a nice little option play.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, the option. And he gained like 5-6 yards on the run or something. It wasn't fantastic. They covered it really well. But those are the kind of things you have to do. Change things up a little bit and throw the defense off when you're struggling on offense. He came in one play, then he's out.
Right.
Casey is a passer.
And
he is a passer. He is not a dual threat.
I mean, 25 42 is not stellar by any means. It's decent. I don't know what that percentage is. I hadn't looked it up. But, yeah, he's going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
He's going to sling it. But we need to mix it up and bring somebody in that can run the ball.
Yep. Yeah, so William asked, Scott Frost needed to fire Eric. No. Chins is going to stay around. I think he earned it last year big time. He earned it actually. The year before was even better than the year before. He has gotten better. His defense has gotten better. This is the first time we've seen such a big dip in his defense and not an improvement. And I think we'll see how it goes from here.
In fact, I'm hearing rumblings before the game yesterday that he's not going to be around next year because he's going to get another gig.
He's going to get a job offer, and that might happen.
That still could happen, but after yesterday, I mean, that's like one of the worst offenses we're going to play, and we gave up 31 points.
Yeah. 2 quarterbacks. We have, what's great is we do have a QB room. We talked about this last week. We have 3 guys in the QB room. We have Torres coming in. He'll be here next year. I think we even have another guy, a 4th guy. We have guys that can play at the quarterback position.
Harvard.
Yeah, and Hendrick Harvard. So we have guys. And when was the last time we didn't have a dual threat quarterback? It's been years since we didn't have a dual threat.
Yeah.
Casey's a pure passer. He's not going to get out of the pocket very often or run very far. So our pass protection, again, was solid, but we got to get better in that run game, and we have to be able to open up that game so he's not taking hits all the time. But again, let's go lateral. Let's run the ball left to right. For those of you that don't know, if you've never been on a football field or been on field level, that football field it's arched a little bit. So when you get to the outside, you gain speed. We have speed on our offense that we need to use to get to the outside and run, and we didn't do it at all yesterday.
The most frustrating part is we have so much more talent than Northwestern does. Fitzgerald said that.
Yes. He knows it.
So to me, that shows where coaching comes into play. They out-coached us yet again. And I love Frost, but it's depending on how the season goes, it might be time to go.
He's your head coach.
And it's all, you know what? He's just going to be a CEO this year, and he's not going to call plays offensively, and this and that.
That's not what we're seeing.
But you know what happened? He called that onside kick.
So let's go back to that, because we haven't really talked too much about it except for the fact that we're not happy with it. And a lot of people say that that's not why we lost the game.
Yes, it is.
Well, you are correct, but what it did do was swing momentum in Northwestern's favor, because what happened is we were down, we had the fumble, they get the ball back, they score, now they're beating us. Then we get the ball, we score.
We scored 2 touchdowns.
And then we get a turnover.
And score again.
And then Frost says, you know what? If this works, and we can get this onside kick, we can go up 35-17 and probably put the game away. If it works in the 3rd quarter, when now you're up by 2 scores, and that is your mindset as a head coach, when you have how many wins as a head coach going into your 5th season?
20.
And how many 1-score losses? 20.
And like 52 losses.
So what in your head says, we're going to get this onside kick and we're going to put this game away.
Have we gotten an onside kick ever?
I don't care how bad your defense is doing in that game, you were better off kicking it deep, pinning them deep, or 25-yard line, making them go 75 yards and score a touchdown. Don't give them a 40-yard play now. You handed them a touchdown.
It didn't take them very long to. Yeah, because like you said, I mean, it just swings momentum. Like, you know, now instead of going 75 yards, they have to go 40, and guys are pumped up because they just, you know, got a big play. So
that was a total momentum shift when we stole momentum back. We got it back after the turnover. We scored a touchdown. We had a nice long run from Grant to score a touchdown, and then we just give the ball back to him. Can you imagine? I saw someone on social media, I can't remember which platform, but someone mentioned, can you imagine being that kicker and being told, hey, we're going to onside kick you here? What? I mean, I'd be like, what the hell, coach? Are you serious? Like, that is your play call? We're winning.
Right.
Coach, you are winning, and you're going to win your first game to start the season, and you want to kick an onside and maybe mess
not
up?
only that, but also being a transfer. Like, it's not like you could be like, I don't feel comfortable with this. Like, I want to kick it deep. Like, obviously, no one's ever going to do that, but it would be like, what are we doing?
Yep. Yeah, Frost shouldn't be allowed to call any play calls, 100%. And he proved that he straight up proved that yesterday that I think we've known it for a while that he should not be running the offense.
And we honestly looked better without him running the offense. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Jake, I like your comment here. You go from Frost to Freeze, go to Hugh Freeze, hire him. Frost couldn't help himself. He had to call the onside kick rather be in the weight room with his boys and study film the opposing coaches. Yeah, well, you know, it is.
I texted Matt yesterday and I said, this is just not fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It's
not fun anymore.
So we
why do I care so much? I invest so much of my time and energy, and I get nothing back on my investment. Like, seriously, I do not get anything back. Like, that's why I'm wearing a Colorado Avalanche shirt today, because my team at least won the Stanley Cup. Like, I care so much, and I get nothing in return for it.
So, William's talking about the H-back. So, one thing I was really frustrated about in the offense, Gabe Urban, yes, I didn't know how ready he was going to be for
and
week
maybe
0.
He's still injured. I know they said he had a little, setback, whatever.
But to not have Ramir Johnson on the field when they have been talking about him all off season and how he's going to have kind of a dual role as a running back / wide receiver.
He's going to catch, 40 passes.
He's like, call me a wide back.
Thought he was going to be a slot, receiver essentially.
We did see Alante Brown. I was excited to see him on the field make a few catches. I like Alante quite a bit, but yeah, run the ball, Brent, but run the ball not up the middle in between. Try to go in between the tackles when we can't open holes. We did it all game. We never made the adjustment. The couple times we went outside, we got good yards. You can't just keep doing the same thing when it's not working and think it's just going to start working. No. Your offensive line is not winning that battle. They're not pushing the defensive line. Challenge those linebackers. Those linebackers had an easy job. Oh, you're stuck in a hole. I'm just going to come and pull you down.
Especially when we're able to pass the ball relatively pretty easy early on in the game. When you run the ball, when you're passing it that easily, you should be able to run with ease.
Yeah,
I would think. And it would be like a yard here, 2 yards there, and it's like, man, that shows a lot on that offensive line. I'm not trying to hate on those guys, but like.
But well,
it's just not the way it used to be.
As well as our pass protection was, they still were getting a good push on the defensive side. So they were still getting a good push on our guys, but we protected well enough to get the passes off. So it wasn't great by any means, but a huge improvement from seeing Martinez scramble all around in the backfield because he can't have 2 seconds to throw. So there was improvement.
Again, it was very positive with the offense, especially early at least. Because it wasn't just a broken play Martinez run or design Martinez run. 3rd and 3 Martinez run. Like 3rd and 3 we were gonna sling it out and get a first down, and we did.
Yep.
So that was very positive to see. But I guess I'm just shocked that the defense was as bad as it was.
Yep. Yeah, and you know, Mary asked about Heinrich here. You know, we talked about him a little bit earlier in the show. Yeah, he didn't have a good game. He's just not his best. We've seen better from him, and we want to see more.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Brent?
No,
Hey,
you know, we were talking about him earlier. I like the kid a lot. I thought he was an absolute stud last year, and you know, they show, you know, highlights of runs or whatever, and he's missing tackles, and you know, Dalton said, you know, 42 sucked or whatever, and it was like, yeah, that's him. Like, I don't understand.
So Brent, you know, you're asking about the onside. Who cares? I think it's important to point out the onside as much as the media is going to destroy Frost all week on it too. The reason why I am so hard on it is because the fact that our defense was not tackling well. They were not playing well, which then you put them even in a tough position when they're already not playing well to now give them a short field to try to stop them when you haven't been able to do a good job of that in the first place. And some of the times we did stop them, whether it's 3 and out, whatever, it was actually they had dropped passes or overthrows, or it wasn't they
or
were,
bad play calling.
Yeah.
Honestly, they had a couple suspect play calls where it was like, you know, 3rd and 2, and they tried, you know, they tried to run right at us, and it's like, well, you just gave it right back to us. You know, I don't know, but
yeah. And Ross, I mean, this is a story. We beat ourselves again. Again, we beat ourselves, and I think that's probably the most frustrating thing. It's one thing if you are playing a heavy-hitting game and you put your all into the game, you play sound football, maybe a couple penalties, and then you lose because you lose to a better team. We're not losing to better teams. Well, I mean, they're better because they're beating us, but you know, we're not losing to teams that you look at the talent on the field that we should be losing to, and that is probably the most frustrating thing. You look at our schedule this year, extremely favorable. Indiana, Minnesota. We don't have Illinois this year.
Yeah,
Illinois, Northwestern, Georgia Southern, North Dakota, Michigan. Again, Michigan's going to be a battle. They were last year, played really well. Oklahoma. We have Iowa. So we have a favorable schedule to where 9-3 should not have been out of the picture, and now I think it is.
Now it's definitely out of the picture. You picked 10 and 2.
I did pick 10-2, which is actually still in the picture. But it's going to be really hard to get.
My 7 and 5 that I picked, I think takes a dip.
Well, I think someone, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Jake, mentioned earlier that we have to win the next 7 games. We have to win 7 in a row. I don't disagree with that. I think we absolutely have to do really well in the next. Ross, hell yeah, 10-2 still play. But we have to do really well. Those next 7 games, man, if we win 7 in a row and we're 7-1, that's a big turnaround. And that is a momentum booster. That is a confidence builder. These guys haven't had confidence that have been here for more than a couple of years. The confidence isn't there, so they're not winning games. And they're losing 1-score games. He has now 21 1-score losses.
Yeah.
Starting his 5th year.
I don't know how to change that.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to change that this year. I honestly figured we'd run away with the game yesterday.
Yep.
So when we scored that first touchdown, I was like, here we go.
Jason, good. That's actually a good point. We didn't mention that onside kick. Again, killing the momentum, but also Casey Thompson kind of feeling some of that too. Now he's a little bit under pressure now, thinking, all right,
I'm sure he was super frustrated with that.
Now we're only up by 4.
Yeah.
And we're not running the ball well, so now the ball's in my hand. Again, I think Adrian felt that way for 4 years.
Adrian 1,000% felt that way. He had to do so much pressure on his back. Why do you think he's going to probably kill it at K-State this year?
Yeah.
Because he does not have the pressure of thousands of Husker fans on his back.
If he has an offensive line.
Yeah, but it's Big 12.
It's true. It's high offense.
They don't play defense.
But I think it's a good point, because now Casey's thinking, all right, we're up by 4. Our defense isn't playing well. We're not running the ball well. Our offensive line can't run blocks. So now I have to throw the ball to win the game. Like that's got to be pressure. Absolutely. Jason, that's an amazing point. I didn't even think about the pressure on Casey there. So
I mean,
we will hang in there, Jason. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Beat Oklahoma, forgive the onside kick. I think I had a couple people tell me that yesterday. I'll think about that one, Jake, but I hope it
we
happens.
win 7 in a row if Frost stays out of the way and just fires at the players. I mean, yeah. The problem with Nebraska football is the media is so up everyone's ass that it causes so many more problems than helping anything. everything is scrutinized. So it's like you can't even just like blink without somebody knowing about it or talking about it. So that's, I think, our biggest problem.
Yep. And we won't give up on them. This is our eighth season. For those of you who don't know, we've been doing this is our 8th football season.
And we've sucked every year we've done it. Maybe we need to quit.
2015, and we have one winning season.
The first show we ever did was after the BYU Hail Mary that we lost.
Yes.
So what are we doing?
We've been doing this for a while now, and it's like, I'd love to have another winning season.
Have a winning season. We had one. I think we had one in 2016.
Jake, we are definitely the most talked about program in the country, and not for a good reason, that's for sure.
It's all hate. It's all BS, dude.
If Frost won't get rid of Chins, he's here until he has multiple bad years. Like he started off kind of rough. I think he built that defensive program.
You obviously didn't watch that first year that we did watch our show. The first year we had Frost.
No, I think
Kenna crucified Chins every week.
I think he stays. Again, he might be getting a job offer depending on how the defense does the rest of the year, but he might be gone because he's going to get an offer somewhere else. But I don't think he's gone. I don't think we get rid of him. I don't know who would be a replacement, but I don't see us getting rid of him in the next couple of years. So
it just sucks because like we made all these changes, like personnel, like players, coaches, and it just like seems so positive. Like it just seemed like we were turning it around.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why it's hard to just call it and say, you know what, season's over, because the first game of the year, first game on the field with all these new players, all these new coaches. Again, Frost gets in his own way. If a guy like Mickey Joseph or Mark Whipple come up to him, Bill Bush, and say, you know what, let's not do that again, because you got to let us do our job for us to be successful. They're old enough, they're seasoned enough, they can do that. They can tell the head coach that.
Well, and I think that was...
And Trev can step in and say that.
I think that was kind of what the problem was over the last few years was, Frost was kind of in charge of all those coaches that he had, that he ended up letting go. And, some of the coaches I actually liked, but they were probably too scared to, lash back at something. They should not have done that onside kick.
No. But again, I think
someone has to step up and say no.
Let's get that continuity in the football program. And right now, with all the new guys, all the new coaches and new players, yes, first game, not good. Week 0, we expected way more. We got way less than what we expected, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Made 0 adjustments at halftime to come out and play better. Made 0 adjustments in game to play better on both sides of the ball. And that's why we lost.
And every team that we play makes in-game adjustments except for us. And when they make those in-game adjustments, we're winning, and then they end up beating us because of that.
They at least make halftime adjustments, if not in-game.
That's what I mean.
We make none.
I will never understand it. I will never understand it.
So again, it's not fun to talk about a loss. It's really not. It's just
We've
frustrating.
talked about losses for years now.
The fact that we still do this show is pretty impressive, because it's a pretty depressing thing to talk about.
And the fact that we have as many of you comment and follow is, like we said, it's like we get more interaction when we lose than when we actually win.
But we are just 2 average guys, and we do enjoy having you guys on the show.
We do. I'm sorry to be a downer, but I'm just so freaking pissed.
This is our day to get all of our thoughts out and all our feelings and our frustrations, because then after this, I let it go. I move on to next week. I got a job to do. So, but I really hope you guys are, again, be hard on the coaches, be hard on the team. You do what you got to do. I'm gonna be done with it after this. I'm gonna look forward to
I need to let it go, because, like I said, it takes up so much of my time and energy and things that I care about in the world. I care about Nebraska football more than I should, and they just never pay me back for it. So it's frustrating, but I'm still here.
Yeah, we got spoiled in the night. We really did, and a lot of of you on here, we got spoiled with a lot of really good teams.
We did.
As
kids, when we went through championships in 4 years, we like we said, we'd get together, we'd be outside slinging the football around, and my mom would have to come out and be like, guys, the game's back on.
You know who's trending on social media right now? Bo Pelini. You know why? Because everyone's like, wow, we got rid of a 9-3 coach.
A 9-win coach every single season. He was here for 6 seasons.
And 1 10-win season, and then this is what happens. And now it's like, where do we go from here? How do we get back there? And what's it going to take? And so I think those are the questions internally inside that football program that have to be asked over and over again.
And Trev's, I feel like Trev's, he's got Scott's back right now, but he's the CEO. He's a big time player. He can probably bring somebody in that can fill that spot.
Money's not a problem, guys.
And yeah,
I think we all know that.
I feel like
for the right guy, money's
Trev's been saying all the right things, I feel like him giving Frost another year was kind of a gift, and that gift ain't gonna last long.
I also feel, someone mentioned this yesterday on a comment, I can't remember who it was, and I think they might have been on the show today, so I apologize, but they mentioned that Frost, he's still the guy for now. They're not going to get rid of him, and my response was, my other thought was he's got 2 years, this year and next year with a new staff. Because if you bring in...
Unless he goes 3-9 again.
Well, because here's what happens. You bring in all these new coaches, all these new players, and after the first year or even before the season's over, you get rid of your head coach. Guess what? That new coach coming in, now you got all these coaches that are going to lose their job. Of course, they're good enough. They're going to get jobs elsewhere.
All these players are going to transfer. Your recruits that you have are going to bounce and go elsewhere.
So there's a lot of downside to doing something like that. So there's a possibility.
It's a tricky situation. It's a lot trickier than it used to be.
But I think that's why the assistants, all these new coaches got 2-year deals. Come in 2 years. You got this season, you got next season. You can't figure it out. You can't start winning games, winning big games, getting to a bowl game. If you can't do that, you got 2 years to do it, you're done. I think
maybe that's what he said.
So that's a good possibility.
Do you think Bo would have been fired if Trev was the AD?
Oh, Trev would have probably tried to coach him on media relations.
100%.
That's the only
he would have sent him on a. He would have sent him to a class for how to deal with the media.
Or just not allowed him to talk to the media. Like,
yeah.
Or sat next to him and be like, pinched him, like, hey, shut up.
Just sat there next to him and been like an intermediator. Like, if you have a question for Bo, it has to come through me.
And here's the thing about Trev Alberts. From what I've learned and what I've seen, we've also met him. Great guy.
Yes, he's absolute. I've delivered furniture to his house.
But I also feel like he would be terrifying. I feel like he'd be a guy that could get in Bo's face, and man, if Bo ever heard this and he comes back at us, I would laugh so hard. But
I've delivered to Bo too.
I feel like Bo and Trev would have been at each other's throats a lot.
Oh yeah, they would have clashed.
But I also feel like there would have been a level of respect to where they could have done that.
And we probably would have been pretty successful.
Yeah, like, Bo, what the hell are you thinking? Why did you say that? Like,
Bo would be like, I'm winning 9-10 games every year.
Well, we had
what do you mean?
Steve Peterson, who's just a chicken shit. So no, I think it would have been interesting to see Bo and Trev and how they would mesh. But I think Trev is enough of a hard ass that him and Bo probably would have gotten along to a level of respect to where it would have been successful.
He's like so nice, like on the surface, but I feel like he's a hard ass, and I like that. I like that about him.
He's a businessman. He also understands that he wants Nebraska to win, just like any past Nebraska player does. So, no, I hope to meet Trev again. He was awesome. We actually got his autograph too, but really nice guy. Man, I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted too because. My biggest thing, like I said it once, I said it twice, I said it again. I invest so much of my time and energy into this program.
Jimmy wants that ROI, guys. He's looking at the ROI, and it's not positive. It's trending in the red.
I do not get anything back on my investment. It's incredible. Like, we need a Joe Sakic to come in here and pull some strings like he did with the Avs, and they win a Stanley Cup, and they're the best team in the league. That's what we need.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
right, guys. Hey, we appreciate you being on the show today. I don't have anything else. For those of you
I'm
that
surprised we went this long.
For those of you that are on here, if you guys aren't following Two Average Guys, give us a follow over on Facebook as well. We do our shows every Sunday here on this show, or on this page, but we do have our own Facebook page, Two Average Guys. Give us a follow. Check us out on YouTube. We got our YouTube channel as well. We're going to be adding some content this year probably. We're working on a few different things to try to keep you guys engaged as well. So really enjoy the show. Enjoy having you guys on.
We
have our
appreciate
podcast.
that so many people come in after a loss like that. Like, you know.
Yeah, again,
I wouldn't want to, but I'm glad you guys did.
Again, our podcast is out there on Spotify, on Apple Music. We're all out there. You can find us. So, new excuse for Sunday beers. This is the best excuse. Best excuse for Sunday beers, Jake. Appreciate you on the show. And everybody else that commented, thanks again. Go give us a follow. We're on Instagram as well, Two Average Guys. So come see us on Instagram. We'll try to keep the content coming, try to keep the fun conversations coming, try to keep it as positive as possible, Jamie.
Hopefully we can start winning some games so this is a little bit more fun.
Yes, next week, guess what? We're going to win next week. We're going to win the next week. After that, we're going to go to Oklahoma with some confidence, and we're going to put up a hell of a game and hopefully win that game. Let's go 10-2, baby. Woo! That's all I got, guys. I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're Two Average Guys. Cheers. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great day, and we will see you next
week.
Sunday, again, probably around the same time. So let's listen to more Sound of Silence because it's a great song. Ooh, gotta turn the volume up.
Oh, I feel.
Hey, Micah.
When my eyes were staring